Batch versus streaming. In batch processing, a defined set of data is collected over time, then processed all at once. This is ideal for non-time sensitive analytics, where a complete dataset is required for accurate computations like monthly sales reports. Streaming, on the other hand, involves continuous input and processing of data suitable for real-time monitoring and analytics such as tracking stock prices. In Spark, structured streaming treats live data streams as unbounded data frames or datasets, enabling high-level abstractions and powerful optimizations. The incremental execution model efficiently updates the final result as new data arrives. The choice between batch and streaming in Spark depends on the latency requirements and the nature of the data processing tasks. Batch is suitable for comprehensive analysis, while streaming provides immediacy and is suited for time-sensitive data. Okay, so let's look at what this looks like in the code. So let's take just a JSON data frame in Spark, just so that we can compare it to streaming later on. And I have a directory here where I have a JSON data frame. That's where the JSON files are. And so what we're going to do, we're going to read this in as a data frame into Spark and just show on the one side, that's how you work with batch data frames. Most of you are familiar with this, but I'm just doing it so that we can compare it to streaming later on. So an example of batch processing would be data is coming in, files like that are coming in, and you read them in as a data frame. I have a method for that. It just reads those JSON files in as a data frame, and it does various kinds of aggregations on it. For example, I can do things like compute the average price and generate an average price column, things like that. So this is how I would work with flat batch data frames. Now I also have another directory here, which is I call it streaming source. And to demonstrate how streaming works, normally you would have stream data coming in, or you would stream it from your database, but I'm going to simulate it by reading in this directory. This directory has a CSV file for every data, and it has the stock price. So each one of these files looks like, if I copy this, it looks like, let's say I copy the 30th day CSV, it looks like that. So basically we're going to stream this in, and it's going to stimulate an incoming continuously updated stream of stock data over a month period. Okay, so to read this in as a stream, I created a couple of helper methods. First off, we have to read in this data and pretend that we have that stream, just so that we can demonstrate the streaming function. For that, I wrote this helper method, which just reads in the test data. So what it does, you have to create a schema when you're working with streams, and then you say readStream, and then you give it the schema, the format, and then you read in the data. And what I'm doing is, and this is the actual demo, is I specify the output mode. There are three output modes in Spark Streaming. There's append, update, and complete. I'm saying here I'm going to append, which means that I'm going to, every time there's a new piece of data coming in, I'm going to append to my existing data set. The format is going to be console, so I'm going to print it on the console so we can track, because this is for debug purposes or demonstration purposes, so we can see what's going on. And we just start running the stream. So let's just do that. So this is the run method of the streamer class. So I just say streamer run. and it's going to read in that stock data. So now I could do all kinds of aggregations on it. So I could actually calculate things like average price on an incoming stream of data if I wanted to, and continuously update my aggregated stored summary of this data if I wanted to do that. So that is the difference between batch processing and streaming. Basically, in one case, you consider the entire data set in one go, and in the other case, you have pieces of data coming in. There's usually some kind of event or time column which identifies the record, and you typically either store the entire thing, but most likely you won't do that. What you might do is you do aggregations on it, and you store the aggregated result. You might also store the original just so you can replay the stream if you wanted to. Like in this case, I could have stored those files, and I could have replayed the stream if I find some kind of error in the aggregation, which is called event sourcing, and it's a common architectural pattern. Thank you for listening.